Hello again, Michael Friedrich here from beautiful North Carolina on an absolutely gorgeous spring day. I actually have three new products to talk about today. I'm going to be talking about a new razor and a new soap and a new brush. So we start off with the razor first. I'm going to be shaving today with the Fatip Testina Gentile. This is the closed comb brother to the Fatip Piccolo or the Grande, whichever one you want to go for. But this is the closed comb version, the Testina Gentile, the gentle little head, or maybe refined head, if you want to translate it that way. It is nowhere near as aggressive as the Fatip, the regular Fatip. A very nice shave, in fact, and I'll talk about some of the features in a moment. It is a three-piece razor with a long screw thread there. There are some minor issues, I think, with the plating, but that doesn't really bother me. It really comes down to the shave. This is an all brass razor, so that is one thing to bear in mind. I'll put the blade in just a moment. Just want to talk about the sort of the look of the razor. It uses this sort of column style for the handle, so there's no diamond-like knurling pattern. It's just vertical lines. It is a hollow handle. It has not proven to be slippery in use. It's got a nice feel, nice grip to it. I do really like the look of this razor. It has these very long post stems that come down, and it just looks kind of badass. I don't know what else to call it. Just a very cool looking razor. Heavy, and it's a little bit head heavy. So for the balance, tips a bit towards the head here. Today I'm going to be shaving with one of my last two Wilkinson swords. Now I have used a Vashkod in here, and I've used a Rapier Platinum Lux, or one or two. So far the best shave I've had has been with the Wilkinson sword. In fact, some of you may recognize this in a previous shave with this razor. During the second pass, I actually stopped for a moment and had to double check that there was actually a blade in the razor, because it was just kind of ridiculously smooth. And of course you know there's a blade in there because you've been shaving with it, but just something strange about the complete lack of friction during that part of the shave. And just for a moment, just had to go back and just double check. Okay, I'm just screwing it in, make sure that's good and tight. This blade has worked in that razor very well. Okay, today's soap. It's the first of three milk-based soaps I'll be reviewing in the next 6 weeks or so. This is the Meißner Tremonia handgefertigte Parasier Paste. It's not really Rasierseife. I mean, it is of course a shaving soap from Germany, but it is a very soft soap. I'll show you what it looks like. It comes in this massive, very heavy glass jar, which it's really soft, and it feels kind of foamy. I'm not exactly sure how to describe the texture, but it's not a cream. It's not really. It's definitely softer than the normal crope. They do make a hard puck, which I haven't tried yet. This includes macadamia nut oil, so if you have a nut allergy, this might be one to stay away from. And it also includes goat's milk. Now, it also includes kaolin clay and talc. So if you're not a fan of kaolin clay soaps, well, maybe pass on this one. But I think honestly that would be a huge mistake. Definitely want to try this soap out. I've decanted some of the soap into the Ecoloniale dish, as always. That's just to kind of maintain the integrity of the main dish, just because I'll be cycling through some soaps. I think what I'll be doing is using the soaps each. I have about 4 or 5 new soaps. I'll use them for about 2 weeks each, and then come back with a review on each one. What I'm finding is that first impression, while certainly useful, I definitely think after a couple weeks of use, you get a much better feel for the soap. So before I start lathering, I also have a new brush to show you from my colleague Steve Bento. This is Curly Maple. I don't know if it's going to be able to catch this on the camera. I'm using a new camera setup, so I hope this works. But Curly Maple has this kind of amazing light to dark shift as you look and sort of move the grain in the light. Brush is absolutely fantastic. It has this huge golden nib. Now I think this is a 28 millimeter extra dense badger. It's shed a hair or two, but I'm not really worried about that. It is relatively new. It is a monster knot. This is by far the biggest badger that I've got. It's just enormous. It's another very kind gift from a colleague at work. So let me go ahead and start lathering this up. I will say, by the way, this is soft. soap, and so when you start, you may find that you get what looks like, ooh, you're starting to get some on there. Don't underload this soap. You definitely want to give it a chance to really get a good paste in there. Yes, I did say paste deliberately. The soap has been, well, really, really good. I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I used a small sample before, but again, with the small samples, it's actually really quite hard to get, a good full brush out of it. So I was happy to purchase. I actually have another full container, and well, I'm very, very glad that I bought these. I'm just getting the brush good and loaded. There we go. I've not been skimping on trying to get the brush loaded just because of the soap. This is definitely a more expensive soap, but nonetheless, still have to really get a good load on there. So I'm gonna wet my face again. And then, as always, make sure I dribble some water onto the brush so it starts off sort of wet on wet. There we go, just a few drops. Go ahead and start lathering. Yeah, I was really intrigued to try some of the milk-based soaps. There's a Hustlinger I have in the wings, and then there's another shave stick, which will be the one that I'll be moving on to after this one, which I'll shave with for the next 2 weeks, and then I'll come back and do a more in-depth, detailed review. So when you first start lathering the soap, you get a very nice, almost immediate, slick, kind of creamy feel to it, even though this lather isn't really ready. But you can get an almost immediate sense of what that's going to build into. I have to say, so far, the milk-based soap has done very well for me. Very slick lather, easy to build. This brush builds up and then holds a lot of lather in the base, which you'll see in just a moment. All right, that's getting close. All right, I'm just going to add a touch of water that's still a little dense. I'm just dribbling a little bit of water on there. As you can see, very easy to lather, quick, feels good on the face. Yeah, you can see just how much lather is in that brush. Passes 2 and 3, no worries about that. Much better. Okay, now. So, first things first, this does have, quite a bit of blade exposure. You can definitely see the blade in there, and you can definitely feel the blade on your face when you're shaving. But it doesn't have that kind of naked or sort of raw blade feel to it. Like if I go back and shave with something like the Jaws, you can really feel the blade, and in some ways it's not very comfortable. It's a very, very effective shave, but just doesn't feel very good. And actually, I've been really impressed by this. This has been a very efficient shave. It really takes the hair off. But even though it looks like it should be aggressive, it doesn't really feel aggressive on the face. You can feel the blade, but it doesn't feel like it's sort of out of control or just too much naked blade on the skin. So let me go ahead and get started. As always, light, no pressure. Not really had an issue actually finding the angle. The angle is it's a little forgiving actually. Sweet spot is not very tight. There we go. Yeah, you can definitely feel the blade in your skin, but it feels really under good control there. Razor feels solid,
and has a good weight in the hand, but doesn't feel overly heavy. And even though it might be a little more balanced towards the head, it doesn't feel imbalanced at all.
And like I said, I really like the look of this razor. It just looks like it's solid and just means business. Wilkinson sword blade in here was a real surprise. It just performed very well, and this shave is going very well. Two days of growth. Gone. Yep, easy shave. Yeah, that first pass, no irritation, no tugging, no nothing. All right, I'm just pulling some of the lather off the bottom. This may strike a chord for some of you. There's two things. One is, this is one of those lathers that seems to really settle down as it sits on the brush for a while. So you actually, when you start lathering for that second pass, it's even creamier than the first. Wow, it just feels fantastic going on. Wonderful face feel to this shaving cream. Paste, apologies. Like I said, I think if you're a purist who just refuses to try a shaving soap because it includes kale and clay, because you believe that kale and clay is unnecessary to provide glide in shaving soap, I think in this case you are cutting off your nose to spite your face. You're not going to regret using this soap at all. Now, the other thing is, on occasion, a person says something to you, and it's just a little phrase sort of, out of context, out of the blue, and you don't really realize until later what that phrase or that sentence or that statement really meant to you. So my brother, who also on occasionally shaves with a safety razor, thanks to me, of course, mentioned in passing that he doesn't really like doing it because he doesn't like how the water drips down his arm when he shaves or when he's lathering. And at the time it didn't really sink in. Just one of those things where a person's kind of describing their experience and you're just sort of listening, interested to figure out, well, just make sure it's going okay for that person. Well, guess what? It never used to bother me. And now that my brother said that, and now that I'm noticing it, it now also bothers me. Thanks for nothing. And now maybe my hope is that it'll all start to bother all of you as well. And if it does, well, sorry. This is the across the grain pass. Same thing, easy. No pressure, no resistance either. This is just a very easy, no effort shave. Shaving cream is slick, really helps the razor move over the face with no resistance. Have to watch that spot down there. That's tricky because of the fold away from my windpipe back out. The hair also grows in this very unfortunate pattern where it grows up at a very flat to the skin angle there. So that's where, if you're going to get irritation, that's where it's going to happen. Also like the audible feedback on this razor. It's got a good sound to it. Now, this is also one of those razors where I can definitely understand why people might hesitate to recommend this to a new wedge shaver because of the reputation of its, sort of bigger brothers. And the Fatip has a reputation as a very aggressive and kind of difficult to tame razor, really designed for more experienced wedge shavers. But I gotta say, I'm having a much easier time with that razor, for example, finding a good angle and getting a consistently comfortable shave out of it than I did out of the Parker 24. So, I know that we sort of always hesitate to recommend, say, going down my arm, and it's aggravating. And it shouldn't be, who cares? But, I asked myself, well, okay, let's say you're a brand new wedge shaver, and the only razor you could get was the Testina Gentile. Would we just turn away from it? We tell people, I guess you can't wedge shave, then no reason for a DE for you because the only razor you can get is that one? And I would say, no, absolutely not. As a new wedge shaver, no matter what razor you pick, you're going to have to make some adjustments. Maybe something like the Wilkinson Classic is just a very mild, easy to use, sort of safe razor. Okay, it does seem like a very good choice for beginners, but I just don't know that really in the end, you're going to have to learn how to use your safety razor anyway. This seems like a really nice choice. I mean, yeah, you have to be careful. You don't want to use any pressure. You want to be careful when you shave. Of course, as with any safety razor, of course you can get cut. But all right, we're going to go. Now it's against the grain. I'm not really doing a Gillette slide. I'm kind of hooking it a little bit. And I swear, I don't know if this has happened in the last couple of years, although maybe it was always like this, but the growth on my chin is not as regular as it once was. At least that's what it looks like. It's kind of multi-directional, at least on this side. So I've been changing a little bit how approaching that. And I'm buffing now, in part because the shaving soap is really slick. No pressure, just all right. Yeah, so against the grain here is kind of a mix of straight up, a little across, and as I've said in previous videos, what I'm really doing there is just sort of letting the comfort of the shave really be your guide there, right? Especially in the circumstance where the hair doesn't grow in a kind of a really simple, straightforward pattern. Try some different approaches and figure out which one for that spot is the most comfortable, rather than worrying too much about a strict width across or against the grain. All right, wow, well, another fantastic smooth shave out of that razor, and it's been very easy to use, very easy to hold. Wilkinson's sword in this has been an excellent blade. The Vashkod wasn't as good. It was tuggy after the second shave, really no way to get a third shave out of it. And a lot of other razors, a third shave on the Vashkod blade, not a problem at all. All right, now, yep, good, clean, easy shave, no irritation, no heat. Let me rinse off a little bit. Trying to get some of the soap off. Now this is also one of my hallmarks of a good soap, but it actually is hard to rinse off. And in fact, this is one of them. I know it's one of those things like, well, how much does it take to get this soap off my face? But I think that's actually a good sign. Yep. Get some of the shaving soap out of my ear. For those of us with large ears, it's just one of the hazards that you face. I just want to show you, by the way, just how much soap is still in that brush. There was enough for a fourth pass and maybe even a fifth. And as you can see, even though it didn't look like there was very much soap in that container, plenty for another couple days. So that soap may be expensive, but I think it's going to last quite a while. It's 200 milliliters, I think, in this container. I was really surprised at how huge and heavy. I just didn't really, think about it when I got them. Of course, the pictures make them look big, but you don't really realize how sort of huge and heavy it is until you hold it in your hand. Really? Okay. Let's just go back and review what we've used for today. I'm going to put some aftershave on and we'll talk about the products. So just give me a moment. Going to go for this one again, the Cologne Russe. Working my way through this. I've got another one or two sort of waiting in the wings, but I'm just really enjoying this. Oh, that feels good. Very, very, very mild tingle there. Just a splash more. All right. Wow, there we go. Oh, delicious. Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful shave. Oh, yeah, even where to start. Okay, let's review what we've used today. Three winners in my book. So today, the 3-piece closed comb Testina Gentile from Fatip. Not a mild razor, not an aggressive razor, but a kind of a middle of the road. Very efficient, takes the hair off with ease. I have found this to be a comfortable razor. I've not had difficulty finding the angle. Perhaps with a milder blade like the Wilkinson Sword, this razor will do better for you than a sharper blade. But again, you should always explore different blade types in the razors that you use and find one that works well for you. The handle is perhaps a little short if you have big hands. I've not found to be a problem. You just put your pinky underneath. Heavy, well-built, all brass razor. I love the way this thing looks. It just looks heavy and ready for business, and I've really, really enjoyed shaving with it. Highly recommended. I think this would, even though it seems like it's potentially a very aggressive razor and could do some damage, I think if you're a beginner and you want to start off with that, it is an all brass razor, so that's one thing to recommend it. I would say go ahead and go for it. I've really enjoyed shaving with it. I've not found it difficult to use at all. Okay, today's soap: Pots of Milk, macadamia nut, and goat's milk soap from Meißner Tremonia. It's a coconut oil based soap. It does contain kaolin and talc. It has a number of other ingredients. Obviously, it's not just those three. This has been a fantastic soap. I wasn't quite sure what to make of it after that initial touch of the texture, but after the first time using it, I realized loving this stuff. Really, really good. Big containers, very nice solid glass jars, which I don't know if you like that kind of thing. Well, just one piece to add into it. Fantastic post-shave face feel, by the way. That the milk-based soaps, I think, are going to be, at least for me, work off my skin very well. And I'm looking forward to the next two that I've got in the queue. So look out for the next review in about 2 weeks from now. And then finally, this fantastic curly maple brush with this ginormous silver tip badger knot in it from Steve Bento. He's actually weighted this with BBs on the inside, so it has a really nice, heavy, solid feel to it. It's not tippy. It balances really nicely on the base, which is perfectly flat. The base is slightly smaller. You can see this disc is slightly smaller than the rest of the handle, which when you put it down makes it seem like it's floating a little bit. Really enjoying this. It was another fantastic gift. I just want to say thank you again to Steve for this. Really enjoying this monster badger brush, and this fantastic. Wood handles just, to this, I don't know. They just make my heart sing. What else can I tell you? Other than that, of course, we finished off with another splash and application of the Cologne Russe from Barrister and Mann. So far, so good. Really loving that stuff. Highly recommend it. If you don't have some, go ahead and get it. Other than that, I think that's really it for today. I want to say once again, thank you so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, you can of course leave them against the video. And until next time, goodbye.